Hey everybody, it's Debbie O'Neill at Cricut Designs, and I've been getting the question from Cricut Explore owners, how can I cut all of my layers for my project on one mat using different colored paper so that I don't have to keep switching my mats out? That is a great question, and I'm going to show you today exactly how I do mine. I know there's other people that have different ways that they do theirs, but this is the simplest way I found, and I'm going to share a couple of tips with you along the way. First of all, log into your Cricut Design Space account, and in the upper left corner there is a little box, and you need to click on that box and turn your grid on. It's really important, if you're going to do this, that you have your grid on, because that's how you're going to line your paper up and your images so that it will cut in those spots for you exactly how you want it. So we're going to go out and grab an image, and I have decided I'm going to do this floral flower from Florals Embellished because it's awfully pretty, and I'm working on a birthday card for a friend, so I thought this would be a nice image to have. And I'm going to go over to my edit panel, and I'm going to size this by just grabbing the handle, because I know I want it to be fairly close to fit within a 3x3 square, because that's the size that fits nicely on the card that I'm designing. Okay, so alright, so on your mat, the grids represent the images, the squares that are on your Cricut mat. So your on-screen mat, once you turn your grid on, that represents each of those as 1 inch, okay? And it matches exactly the way it is on your Cricut mat on the cutting surface part, alright? So once you have your image up here, I wanted to show you what the difference is. Alright, so if I liked it just like this, I wasn't going to change any of the colors or anything, I would just hit go, right? I'd be all set to go once I size it. And it would go to my Cricut, it'd go through the Design Space program, and it would set everything up for me. I wouldn't have to do anything else, right? However, it's going to give me 6 different mats that I have to cut on, because I have 6 different colors that I'm dealing with on creating my project. Well, I don't want to have to keep putting a different piece of paper just to cut one small image, alright? So that's what I'm going to show you how to avoid. Alright, so I have that same image up, I have it sized the same, I haven't changed any of that, but what I want to do is I want to go into my layers panel. Okay, when you click on the project, it lets you select the layers panel. If your layers panel doesn't come up, maybe you defaulted it to edit, your layers is next to you in this upper right corner. You'll see edit, layers, and sync. Alright, so we want to go into the layers panel, and in the layers panel down at the bottom you can ungroup your image, which is what you want to do. Okay. When you ungroup the image, that means you can drag each of these little pieces to wherever you want them on your mat. And the Cricut cuts within a 1/4 inch all the way around the sides of your mat. So just to be safe, I always try to put my paper so that it fits my image is at least a 1/4 inch down from it. So I'm going to move my pieces onto my mat. It'll take me a second to figure out kind of what order I want them in. Okay, so when I go to cut this on my mat, I'm kind of lining these up because I can count over and down that I want my images to fit within a 3x3 square. Okay, depending upon how large your image is that you're doing, you could do the same thing. Figure out the largest piece that you have to deal with, and count over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. So I have a perfect 3 by 3 square that my green shape fits within. Then my next shape is this yellow or orangey color piece, and it also fits really nicely into a 3 by 3. You just want to make sure, if I try to put this in a smaller box to count the squares up, you're going to see it's going to overlap. All right. So what I do is then just kind of center it within the 3 by 3. The next thing, I do the same thing for this image, and I do the same thing for this image, and also for this one, I'm going to kind of line it up here, and this one. Alright, so I want to make sure that it's fitting within a 3 by 3 box. Okay, now once I have them lined up so that I would be able to put my paper on my mat, and I will show you that, so that I'm going to line it up within these grids, the paper, and then when it cuts it out it's going to stay the same. But how do I get it to stay that way? I do select all, and in my layers panel I go attach. Okay, now when I do that, it will change all of the colors to it'll change all the images to the same color. I don't care about that because I already know that I'm going to put my paper in a certain order so that then I can do that. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how do I put the paper onto my mat, and then how do I cut it so that then I have all of these images on the one mat instead of having to have 6 or 7 different Cricut mats going. Okay, now once we have our images onto our mat and attached so that we know they're going to stay in a certain spot for us, then we can add our colored pieces of paper. And here's a tip, basically. I do not save any piece of spare cardstock larger than a 3 by 3. What this does is that it allows me, every time I end up with a bunch of scraps, I cut the scraps as much as I can into 3 by 3 squares. And then I keep these in a box. And when I want to do a project, almost every project I do, I tend to cut things that are going to be a little bit smaller because they're going on a card or they're going on a scrapbook page or whatever. And I find that the different layers often fit perfectly on a 3 by 3. So if I have an opportunity to save some cardstock left over from maybe cutting some larger pieces, I cut all my other scraps into 3 by 3. If it's less than a 3 by 3, I don't even save it. I've found over the years that I just end up throwing that away. I never use it. I end up with all this little tiny bits of scraps that I never ever use. And also this saves me time, because I know that these are already cut to 3 by 3. I can just go to my box, pull them out, pick the colors that I want, and be ready to put them onto my mat, particularly when I'm using this technique where I've attached the layers to a specific spot on my mat where I want them to go. So this is what I would do. I would have my colors. I've got them ready. I have them in the order that I need to lay them down on my mat. And so I'm going to start in the upper left hand corner, and I've got it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when I laid these onto my screen that you guys saw a minute ago, I had these perfectly lined up where they're going to fit, the images are going to fit within these 3 by 3 boxes to cut. So I'm just going to lay these on here. Okay. I'm not being super fussy about this. I'm just kind of laying them in, and they're fitting perfectly for me. Okay, so I've got my material on my mat, and I am ready to send this to my Cricut Explorer to cut. So I'm going to hit the flashing arrow to load the mat, and now I'm going to hit the flashing little Cricut C head for it to start cutting. The cardstock that I'm using is from Close to My Heart, and it comes in color sets, and this is the Whimsy color set, and that way all of my colors coordinate on my projects because I'm using the color set. So if you're someone who has difficulty selecting colors for your projects and you want a faster way to do it, definitely buy your cardstock in color sets. Of course, I'm a consultant, so I do sell that, and I'll have a link to my shop on the video for you for that as well. And you can see how cleanly and beautifully it is cutting on the Cricut Explorer. It's a really great, it's a smooth cardstock. It's made for stampers and it's great for layering images. It embosses beautifully. I'll do another video where I show you embossing, because that's the other question a lot of people are asking me. Now you can see that it has cut all of the images off, and I'm just going to use, you need a Cricut spatula. If you do not have a Cricut spatula, that is a tool you must have. It makes it so much easier getting these intricate cuts up off of your mats. I hope you found that helpful. I will show you the finished product at the end of this video, just so you can see what that image looks like all layered back together. And please follow me at scrapmequickdesigns.com. You are welcome to join us over at Let's Learn Cricut Explore Facebook group, where we have lots of fun about learning how to use our Cricut Explore machines. And of course, please subscribe to my video YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of the videos that I'm making to help you have a lot of fun with your crafting and make it easier for you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.